anybody in this room today sick and tired and sick of having to deal with the same old thing, the same old problems, the same old difficulty? Anybody sick and tired of the same stuff? Then I've come to tell you, grow to a place in your life where you can begin to declare there is better on its way. She says, I want it. And then Jesus says, so go call your husband. What? My husband? You do know what husband is, right? What you're married to. Now, Jesus, you know I ain't married. But what he really was after was not so much the matter of her morality, but to help her to understand that better only comes with condition. The condition is, in order to get better, you first have to give up what you're holding on to. That's why I told you earlier, the first thing he says to her is, give me your water. Because if you give me what you're drinking now, I'm going to give you something better to drink later. Y'all kind of follow me? See, there's a crowd who wants better, but at the same time, they want to keep on holding on to the old stuff. But Jesus says, if you really want better, you got to let go of the old that does not fulfill so that you can grab a hold to what I'm about to give you. Either you're going to keep what you have or give it up and take hold of what God has in store for you. Then the woman did what many of us do today. She got religious on Jesus. Well, I do go to church. I get my praise on. I love Jesus. You do know people can get religious. Okay, y'all don't understand that. I'm a pastor, right? And when I talk to people, sometimes they just get religious. Oh, I go to church. Oh, I serve the Lord in my own way. Oh, I get my praise on. God knows my heart. Here's Jesus' answer. Jesus said, I ain't ask you what church you belong to. I didn't ask you what worship service you attend, 8:30 or 10:30. I didn't ask you if you were Baptist or Methodist or Pentecostal or non-denominational. I didn't ask you who your pastor was, your bishop was, your overseer. I didn't ask you if you speak in tongues, if you sang on the praise and worship team or usher or glean. All I ask you is go get what you've been married to and bring it to me. You do understand that you can marry and divorce things other than people, don't you? The thing you keep attaching your life to and then around and detach from because it never quenched your thirst was one of the husbands you've been married to. And Jesus says, until you give me what you've been married to, you won't ever be able to get what I have to give you. And really, that's what the better really is. The better is what God has to give you. What you and I acquire on our own, what we draw from our own wells of life, will always cause us to become dehydrated. But can I preach in here and tell you, as I get ready to make my way to my seat, that what God gives us will keep us flourishing, and that what God gives you will be springing up into you a well of living water. It's impossible to receive what God has to give you when you're holding on to what you have been able to draw out yourself. And the moment that got into her spirit the moment she began to understand that she had to drop what she had been carrying and grab what Jesus had to give her. Was the moment liberation took place in her life. She gave it to Jesus. Here is what the text said. The text says she dropped it, baby. Look at your neighbor. Tell your neighbor, you got to drop it. You got to drop it. I don't know what you've been carrying, but you got to drop it, baby. I don't know what you brought up in here this morning, but you got to drop it. I don't know what concern you came in here with this morning. You might be concerned about that job. You might be concerned about that significant other. You might be concerned about how things are going to take out, how things are going to unfold next week. But look at your neighbor. Tell your neighbor, you got to drop it, baby. You got to drop it. This woman dropped it, and the moment she dropped it was the moment Jesus began to deposit into her what only he could give her. He gave her at that moment joy that she had never experienced, and the joy that he gave to her was not joy that came from the external, but rather it was joy that was on the inside. Her external circumstances had not changed, but something had happened on the inside of her that was like a well springing up into her life. And that's what happens when we let go and open up to receive the gift of God. He fills us with his love. He fills us with his power. He fills us with his joy. He fills us with his peace. He fills us with contentment. He fills us with new wine. He makes the load a little bit lighter, the way a little bit easier. Our friends become friendlier. He makes our dreams turn into reality. Look, there she goes. She's running around the sanctuary. She's running and jumping. She's got the joy of Jesus living on the inside, and she's going back into the city. You ought to see her right now running down Chestnut Avenue, somewhere about 25th Street. She's going over to Jefferson Avenue, telling the people at 25 and J, come and see a man.